Hello everyone, welcome to 8085 microprocessor lecture series. This is lecture number 9 and we'll be doing today the pinout. We'll see the pinout diagram of 8085. So here we have the 8085 pinout diagram. There are 40 pins and each pin is having a function, and of course there are some pins which has dual function. So there are some signals which are used for serial communication, then some are used for address bus, data bus, and so on. Let us see the functional block diagram of this 8085. So there we have clubbed together in this diagram the pins which have similar functions. They are clubbed together, and here we can see there are 6 types of signals. We can classify all the signals, all the pins in 6 categories. The first category is this one, the power supply and frequency signal. So there is one here also. Then we have serial input output ports, the second category. This is the third category, external peripheral signals, external operations, this one also. Then we have control and status signals. Then we have the data bus, it is also acting as a low order address bus. And then we have the address bus. So these are the 6 categories. This is number 1, this is number 2, this is number 3, this is number 4, the 5 and 6. Okay. This researched out is a part of number 3, and this clock out is a part of number 1. So there are 6 categories. Let us study them now. We'll see them in detail. The first is the power supply and frequency signals. So this pin number 1 and 2, here x1 and x2 is written. So the crystal which generates the frequency, we get this particular clock from a crystal, and that crystal is connected at point between pin number 1 and 2. And suppose we want to give this clock to some other device, then we have a clock out. So whatever clock we are getting here, we can give it out to some other devices, external devices also. Then the power supply connections. So we have this power supply connection between it runs on a 5-volt power supply. So pin number VCC 40, pin number 40 is connected to 5 volt, and this pin number 20 VSS is connected to the ground. So this is the power it requires a 5-volt power supply. Then here we have the SID means serial input data, SOD means serial output data. So these 2 pins, they are used for serial communication. Then we have some signals. These are peripheral signals. The trap, this trap RST 7.5, RST 6.5, RST 5.5, INTR, and this INTA. These are the part of the interrupt signals. So any external device, if it wants to interrupt the processor, it can interrupt to these pins which is connected to it. Then we have this, we have seen this signal, ready signal. Then we also seen the hold signal, and these 2 are the signals which are used in externally initiated operation signals. If you want to reset the processor, this pin is used to reset the processor. It is active low. When any of the device it interrupts the processor, the processor gives an acknowledgement. This is the acknowledgement signal. And when any device it gives the hold signal, it gives this hold acknowledge. This is output. So this is in response to interrupt and hold acknowledge respectively. Here we have the ready and status control and status signals. ALE, that is called as address latch enable. Then S0 S1 IO/M bar. So this is having dual function. When it is 1, it is a input output operation. When it is 0, it is a memory related operation. Then we have read signal, the write signal. These are the we can say the status and control signals of 8085. Then here we have the multiplex address and data bus. So this AD0 to AD7, we don't have A or D only, we have both A as well as D. So it is AD0 to AD7. It means that this 8 pins, they are acting as low order address bus and the data bus as well. So they have dual functionality, this AD0 to AD7. And then this is A8 to A15 is it is the high order address bus. So this gives the entire pinout diagram or functional diagram of 8085. Now here we see the timing diagram of a memory read cycle. So how the control signals are generated to read to read an instruction from the memory. We consider an example like we have instruction move C comma A. This instruction is stored in this location 2005. Now this move C comma A, the code for move C comma A is 4F. It means that at memory location 2005 this instruction 4F is stored. So we'll see how microprocessor it reads this instruction from this particular memory location. Here in this diagram we have this T1, T2, T3, T4. They are also called the T states. T states actually what is a T state? It is one T state is equal to the time period of that particular clock. So if we have clock of frequency 1 megahertz, then actually frequency is 1 into 10 raised to 6, because mega is 10 raised to 6 hertz. So this is 10 raised to 6 hertz. So time period is 1 upon f. So 1 upon f is 1 upon 1 into 10 raised to 6. This 10 raised to 6 goes up, so we have 10 raised to minus 6. So 10 raised to minus 6 is actually 1 microsecond. So if we use this particular frequency, then this time T1, T2, they are all of 1 microsecond, this T1 state. So this is the clock. So when this operation is executed in the very first clock pulse, the very first T state, see what is happening in the very first T state. The entire address is put on the address bus. This is the entire address 2005. So 20 is put on the higher order. This 20 is put on the higher order address bus, and 05 on the lower order address bus. And simultaneously this ALE signal becomes high. ALE means address latch enable. We have seen this signal in the previous slide. So this signal indicates that this low order bus is actually acting as the address bus for the first clock pulse. And this particular signal IO/M, now because we have to perform memory read, so this becomes low, because low means it is memory, high means it is input, because it is a memory relate, so this signal becomes low. So this is what things happen in the first clock pulse, the first microsecond. In the second clock pulse, after 1 microsecond, this ALE signal becomes now low, and the read signal also becomes low. Read signal is active low now, because we have already, this address is latched. Okay, now address is identified, so we need to get the data from that particular memory location, which is actually 4F. So this is read. Okay, so this you can see the status signal. These are the control and status signal. This is already low, so it is a memory operation. ALE becomes low, and read all signal also becomes low. So this instruction, it remains for 2 clock pulses. Okay. And after this, before the end of the third clock pulse, this signal again becomes high, so the read operation is complete. So in this diagram, what we observe is how the things are synchronized in every microsecond. This has to be done in the first microsecond, that in the second microsecond, that in the fourth microsecond, and so on. So this is the timing diagram of the memory read cycle. Similarly, we can show for memory write cycle also. Now in the diagram, the pinout diagram, we saw that the low order address bus is also used as the data bus. So how to demultiplex them. So how the demultiplexing does, we will see this how the demultiplexing is done. In this diagram, the higher order address bus is this one, A8 to A15. This is the higher order address bus. Then we have, this is the low order address bus. So we have to separate the signals, address and data signals. After finding the address, we need to transfer the data or maybe read the data. Here we use the IC 74373. We have seen this IC 74373 in the previous lecture. It is a D latch, and we have to enable it. This enable line of this particular IC is connected to ALE. That is called the address latch enable. So when this is 1, this latch, it becomes transparent. So whatever data, whatever things we are giving it is available at the output. So this latch becomes transparent, and once if we make this as 0, when this becomes 0, the latch now it holds the previous data. Now whatever we give, it won't go inside, it won't go outside this particular latch. So here how it works, let us see. Let us take the previous example. So we have at 2005 we have this instruction, we have to read instruction 4F. So in the first clock pulse, what we saw in the first clock pulse, the entire address is kept on the address bus such that the higher order address bus has the address 20H. This is 20H is placed here, and 05 is placed on the low order address bus. So this is 05, this 05 is placed on the low order address bus, and simultaneously this ALE signal becomes high for the first clock pulse. As it becomes high, 20 of course we are getting here, there is nothing to stop it. So, and this 05, because the latch has become transparent, we are getting 05 here. After the first clock pulse, what the microprocessor does, it makes this signal as low. So when it becomes low, the latch is not transparent, but the thing is it will hold this address. Now it will latch this address has been latched, so it will remain on this address bus until the arrival of the next ALE. And in the second clock pulse, we give the read operation, and the data from the memory, it comes and it goes inside, okay, into this microprocessor. Now it won't go back because this is ALE signal is low, so nothing will go out. So this is how we can this demultiplexing is done. Even if suppose we want to send some data, suppose we want to send some data 4F out, we want to write the data, even if 4F is written here, so this 4F will go from this to D7, from here to D6 and so on. It won't cross this because the latch is not transparent now. It will hold this until the arrival of the next ALE signal. So this is how we can demultiplex the address and the data bus. The advantage of using address and data bus together is that we can save a lot of hardware. As we have seen, 8085 IC is having 40 pins, in which the 8 pins they have dual function, the address and data bus. So if we don't use this, then we need to have 8 more pins for data bus. So a hardware saving is done by this multiplexing and demultiplexing of the bus. Next we see how the control signals are generated by the microprocessor. So we have 4 operations in this case: memory read, memory write, input output read, input output write. So all are active low, of course all are active low here. So how the signals are generated? In this pin has a dual function, input output slash M bar. So it clearly shows that when this pin is 1, when this is 1, it means it is a input output operation, and when it is 0, it is memory related operation. So suppose we want to perform, suppose the microprocessor wants to perform a memory read operation, memory read. So it makes this as 0 and this as 0 and this as 1. So read operation is having a bar, it means it is active low. Similarly, write operation is also active low because it is having a bar. So when we give this input, so we have to this will enable this one. So this gets enabled, and this all the other signals they are disabled, or it means in the other words this is 0 and this all are 1 because it is active low. Now suppose we want to perform some read operation from input output. So this is 1, this is 0 and this is 1. So this signal shows that it is the input output operation. This one shows it is read, and this shows it is not a read or not a write operation. So this particular signals get activated and this all are not activated. So this is 0 and all others are 1. Similarly, suppose if you want to perform a write operation, a memory write operation. So for memory write, we will make this as 0, this as 1 and this as 0. So for that purpose, this gets activated, it becomes 0, and all others they are disabled. Okay, this is 1 1 1. So this is how the control signals are generated by the microprocessor. So that's all for this particular session. We will do some more things in the coming lectures. Thanks for watching.